I wanted to ask you, David, because, for example, consciousness has a lot to do with knowing your environment, not your environment and how you handle yourself. And speaking of this, let's not assume that in the human race becomes spatial and is knowing other galaxies or becomes intergalactic. No, then consciousness is going to reprogram not only how I think and how I see the universe, because you're no longer seeing the world or gravity where it exists, but it's going to reprogram your genetics, your body, because maybe it's no longer necessary to have muscle mass like we have bone mass, like we have, even since these journeys are so long, right? And only, let's say, you're one astronaut per ship. Suppose, I'm not being metaphorical, even your reproductive system biology would change because it would no longer be necessary to live tribally, right? What is your thought about consciousness and its environment in space? How do you think I would change?
First, you're going to generate a lot.
A lot of anxiety.
Anxiety, but why? Because you can't manage the same activities that one or two manage this first one. Our body is not going to generate many changes very quickly, but you are going to generate situations where you generate more negative things than good. Why? Because first you are going to stay for a long time, or you are going to be in something unknown, where you have to experiment, where you are faced with new situations that you have not experienced. And generating situations of experience is going to frustrate you a lot because you are going to make a lot of mistakes. And of course, it is the medium in which you have developed yourself. You are going to generate new emotions, new results, new experiences from scratch, that if you go as a colonizer, you are going to have a bad time until you are. But if you generate this, let's say like a book where you write down each of the experiences you've had and you transmit it to the next person who already comes with a new experience, and we generate a new consciousness. Always the first one that is going to experience is the one that is going to generate the result for you, but it is the one that is going to have the most problems with itself. Then who is it? He is a very strong person mentally because he is going to break a lot, of course. When you start all these new experiences, you are going to get a lot of frustration. So you have to be very prepared, because the decisions they are going to make, you don't know how you are going to go blind. You don't know if you are going to be good, bad, terrible. And if someone dies, it's not like the video game you start over. Or is he no longer there then? If someone makes a decision that you make, what's wrong with them is going to be very bad for you. You take it as a super experience that your conscience will say, no, you don't have to do this. But I believe that the first settler or settlers will have many problems, and they have to be mentally strong people.
Of course, and also think that consciousness always tries to seek peace. No, because that's what the brain wants. Doesn't the brain like to be uncomfortable? And just the thought that your consciousness starts to say, well, what new information do I have about this? I have nothing. I'm uncomfortable. So not only the pressure it's going to generate, not only emotionally, but also hormonally, but also that pressure is going to make you want to lose control. That is, you are going to lose control of yourself because you already reached the moment where it is no longer healthy. Where are you? For the simple fact that, for example, you can't get off a ship, or you can't be what you were and what your identity was. Because now you're going to project yourself an identity where you don't feel safe. That's the detail. Project yourself one-to-one, a place where you don't feel safe and that no one has been either. What I think people should also be aware of is that many people think that you have to have conscience to create a utopia. Utopia, don't you? And utopia are a fragment of an imagination. What do I mean? If the problems we have today on this planet, we think that by selecting intelligent people or people with good nobles and everything is going to change into another problem on another planet, history teaches us that we do not know how to create a utopia. We're going to have the same problems we had on one planet and we're going to have them on another now. I ask you, David, do you think people are aware of that?
No, because let's see, not all there are people who do raise these problems as we are raising them. Not all of us are raising it, but of course, why? Because we are going to, if we go to another planet, we're coming, and excuse me, to make it a little more understandable. You are the Bacano who already knows everything, so you want to do it your way, and it's going to make us commit the same ones as the other, although you already know the result. But he says, no, I know this, but if you haven't experienced it, you're going to a new society. That's going to generate problems because they're the same problems that we drag from, say, in this case, from this planet. We are going to take it to someone else because being unknown, you want to apply the same thing because you have not experienced, you do not know. And if you are a person who has not experienced, you just want the result to be the same as before. I don't know. We are not going to change, and our conscience is going to act based on something I know. What we had talked about anywhere, where you lose a lot frustrates you and you want and keep trying, and the result is negative with you until you get tired. And since some soccer game is beating you 10-0, you seek to at least score that goal that gives you satisfaction, even if you already exceed. You know that you are lost, that you want a victory. That's right. But if you don't do it well with conscience, you will obtain another negative result.
I like what we talk about also on the basis that, for example, how we sometimes mistakenly raise awareness. For example, a politician who lives very well has a very large house but has it on the verge of bad behavior and theft. No, but the person, the neighbor who does not have as much as that politician sees it as what a cool, what a nice life that person has, but we don't know if that person has all these assets, but inside consciously. No. I mean, he's worried because he knows what he did, and apart from knowing what he did, he knows that one day he's going to have to pay the price with justice. But what the people who are outside see is like those who say the iceberg effect, not just that 10% that everything looks good, but they don't know 90% of everything corrupt, that not only the act of corruption, but feeling corrupt. And conscience plays a lot in that. David, what do you think?
Yeah, look, like you said, we often see the result, but not the process. So the process, if the process is chaotic, you don't pay attention to it because you want to. Because there is something about us we have that is envy, and many times, and we envy everything. Everything we see, the car of the person next to us, we see, the other one looks, it was bought. This has this brand of clothing, but you don't know if this person, as you see it, you don't know what the process is. And in politicians, you are the one who comes in. I've seen you friends, they come in with nothing. And you see it. I have seen them well finished silver, but they are not calm. Moreover, have I talked to them about it? Yes, brother is, but just as they see me that I have some money, sometimes I also have to invest because I got bad money, let's say through bribes, through tenders where you bribe and win and get money. Also, in quotes, they call him. You have to invest when the political party comes, says, hey, there are these elections, and they tell you and they tell you. You earn so much, you have to put in for that, and that indicates that this person, since he already has a status, is up. Once again, he enters the vicious circle and has to generate corruption because he has to deliver, not say it. You have to give money like one so as not to take it to the religious part. You have to contribute. This is like the entrance. You have to pay a monthly fee to stay here. So that person doesn't live well, and no one knows the stress that that person also has, because first you have to act illegally and you can be caught doing it. And also, if you want to continue in the same status that you are in, Don't leave that circle. You have to generate more corruption because you need money, because you have to pay your dues. They call you political dues. You have to pay.
So of course, corruption comes with corruption. It comes with a price. And sometimes we don't realize what price it comes from, because it's not just continue in the middle and that circle must be maintained. How with more corruption, that is, you become more corrupt. And the worst of the case, apart from corruption, is that you create excuses for what your conscience is telling you. I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for the well-being of from the future. I'm doing it because I was. I mean, there are thousands of excuses, but conscience always tells you this is wrong. So the difference between excusing bad and doing good, because that's what it's about. Not conscience wants you to live in peace, because true happiness is not in acquiring all the things you want. Otherwise, it is to live moments of peace. I mean, we're not even talking about a prolonged period of peace, moments of peace where your conscience does not have to be constantly fighting against your idealism or your behaviors. It's like we don't give the mind this rest. And that's why I think consciousness is so important to us, for the simple reason that not only is it a guide, but it is the reasoning that even when we try to convince ourselves that we are not a thing, consciousness knows our true identity and knows that if you are deviating, it reiterates it to you many times.
New York City.
There's so much more beyond the walls. Let's explore.
I'm a beast. You know I'm a beast. Welcome to the feast. My whole team off the leash. We don't know defeat. Everybody eat. Hey, you know I'm a beast. You know I'm a beast. Welcome to the feast. My whole team off the leash. We don't know defeat. Everybody eat. Hey, you know I'm a beast.
Can I run up the score, run up the board, breaking the mold? Ay, ay, walking the door. You know what happened? We step on the floor. Ay, ay, coming from one. You don't want problems, you already know it. Ay, ay.
Maestro style, cosmic call. Transform your mind. It is time to create.
Don't